Welcome back into the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast with our next guest, Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Kelly Stewart, check her out at wagertalk.com. She's got the Kelly and Murray podcast. She's really all over, guys. Hey, you're probably already following her. And this is the final segment for the Every Game on the Board, week 1 college football. Kelly, welcome in. How you feeling?
Hey, Drew, feeling good. Just got my parlay video to the guys over at Superbook. What else did I do today? I finished up my NFC videos for the 32 for 32 NFL series. We got the hustle coming on tonight, 7 o'clock. You, me, our buddy Adam Trigger, Chris Thurston. Excited for that one. So busy football season is upon us. I'm happy it's here. August damn near killed me.
Oh, yeah. August is gone. September is here. Football season. We got the appetizer that is week 0. Now it's on to week 1. We got a lot of big games, and we're also talking the singled out games, on Sunday and Monday. Big name teams here in the back of the Saturday card here, guys. West Virginia and Penn State will go down the rest of the rotation order. And we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer, vivatequilaseltzer.com. Our flavors pair perfectly with our artisanal Blanco tequila for subtle and refreshing drinks. And Kelly, just for you, I know it's your favorite, little grapefruit here. Got it in the background.
I am so out of grapefruit and have been for months. I need to get back on it. We didn't even have any grapefruit besides like 4 of them when we were in Vegas. I was, I guess that's probably why I got to take sober September lightly. It's better not to have any grapefruit in the house.
Yeah, if you're always looking at it, it could be tempting. But, hey, hopefully we can get some winners for the listeners as, again, guys, bottom of the Saturday card. If you go to the Wager Talk Live odds screen, 223-224, West Virginia, Penn State, 7:30 Eastern. And we'll go down and hit the Sunday and Monday slate for college football as well to finish out the week 1 college football slate. So West Virginia at Penn State here. Kelly, minus 20.5. That's the Penn State Nittany Lions at home. There is a minus 21 out there, 49.5 being the total. So, hey, I know you do the podcast there with John Murray, West Virginia alum, up against Penn State, owner of tequila, Steve Thurston. That's where he went. So we got a little friends going at each other in terms of acquaintances here. But what are you thinking, West Virginia, Penn State, Kelly?
Drew, this is tough. We all know historically I'm a dog better, right? We laughed yesterday on Kelly Murray. I had 16 games at the time on my long list, and only 2 of them were favorites. This is an interesting line, along with TCU being the exact same, right? It's not 21, even though you said there is one on the Wager Talk odds screen popping up. So it kind of is almost like baiting you to take Penn State. And at first glance, I don't blame people for wanting to take Penn State. We know Drew Allard, they're touting him to be like the next Josh Allen. They're saying he's going to be a first-round draft pick. It's him and J.J. McCarthy for the best quarterback in the Big Ten. I still don't have high expectations for James Franklin as a favorite, right? As an underdog, I love to bet on this guy. Neil Brown, you mentioned John Murray. God, he just trashed him yesterday. I think he said something like low IQ or something super mean. And of course, the guy's like 5-7 every single year. And it's not fun to be a Mountaineer right now, right? His seat could not be hotter. But I will say this, something to look at. 10-2 against the spread as a dog of 14 points or more. That comes from our good friend Mark Lawrence's playbook. And that is just enough to keep me off of this game. I don't trust Neil Brown. The Mountaineers, every once in a while, give some team a big scare. Could they give Penn State a big scare right out of the gate? Wouldn't shock me, but I'm not going to get to the window with this one.
Like the breakdown there, Kelly. I mean, you bring up Neil Brown. I'm surprised to hear that from John Murray. I was talking to him last year about him because I was a big fan of him. He was fun to bet on at Troy in the Sun Belt. He was a great offensive coordinator in the SEC. So it's like his pedigree was there. I thought he would do better at West Virginia. But I mean, low IQ, what do you think that is? Is that actually on the game field? Is that because he speaks slower? He's a Southern guy with a little twang. So are people jumping on that?
Maybe, John Murray, he likes to make like weird comments that go way above my head. So I'm not sure how to dissect that one. That's the kind of text I've been getting all day. I love John Murray's humor. I'm like, I just don't think he's that funny, but maybe it just.
Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of that dry humor to him. He's a fun guy. We got 12 noon Eastern up next, 9 a.m. Pacific. Early kicks here, guys. I know NFL, we're still a week away, but Sunday, September 3rd. Don't wait around. We got football pretty much all day long. Starting off here, Northwestern and Rutgers, 169-170 on Sunday, 39.5 now the total. We're going sub 40 total in a college football game, -6.5. That's the Scarlet Knights at home. Rutgers hosting Northwestern. Big Ten matchup.
Oh, Drew, I looked at this one yesterday. It was this close to making my college football parlay. I did take +6.5. I wouldn't be surprised to see this one go down to 6, headed into Sunday, maybe get a little bit of sharp money, because I think this is a little overreaction, right? Pat Fitzgerald obviously got fired over the summer. That's been news for a while. But who is Rutgers to be laying almost a touchdown to anybody, right? We know what Northwestern's capable of, and that is springing upsets as sizable underdogs. They've been great. Now, that was under Pat, but you'd like to think this team is going to pull up their bootstraps and try to get a win for their former coach. Everything I've heard out of Northwestern is not very many guys were very happy about that. But Northwestern still was waiting to hear from their starting quarterback. It looks like it's going to be Cincinnati transfer Ben Bryant. So if it is going to be him, I would not be surprised to see this game a little bit closer. But yes, Drew, this could easily be like a 21-17 game right there, right around the number. And it wouldn't shock anybody. And it also wouldn't shock anybody for it to be a 9-6 game. Absolute Sunday morning snooze fest. So I would not dare touch the over, but I did take the plus on the 6.5 and the Wildcats. But unfortunately, I did not sprinkle on that money line.
Yeah, I could see it being a low-scoring game as well. I mean, the market telling us that. And one interesting point, and I haven't really dug too deep on Northwestern, but everything that happened in the offseason, coach being shown the door, kind of an ugly situation. But it happened so late in the offseason that actually for Northwestern this upcoming year, because it's not like there was everybody transfer, it was kind of too late for it. So I almost think in a weird way, it might actually not hurt them that much. I mean, have you heard anything in that nature?
That's basically it. And the reason, my rationale behind it is when you kind of hear like rumblings out of certain locker rooms, I like to pay attention to beat writers on Twitter, Drew, because they usually have the best, I'll call it insight as opposed to inside information into the team, how everybody's getting along. What have we heard? It sounds like a lot of players weren't very happy he was fired. Maybe they go out there and they, show a little something. And again, it's more of a play against Rutgers saying, whoa, we're going to pump the brakes here on laying almost a touchdown with this team this early on in the season.
Makes total sense. As we got 231, 232 up next, 7:30 Eastern. LSU and Florida State, arguably the marquee game of the weekend here, as we get the Tigers, the Bayou Bengals, laying 2.5 as the quote-unquote road team. This is in the Citrus Bowl, Orlando, Florida, Camping World Stadium to be exact. 56.5 being the total. LSU versus Florida State, two top 10 teams here, Kelly, in a neutral site. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, neutral, but the game's in Orlando. We know Florida State traditionally plays well there. This is tough for me because I think sometimes people look for like the revenge factor, right? This was Brian Kelly's first L that was handed to him. Florida State was a sizable dog last year in New Orleans. I believe it was a missed PAT. LSU came roaring back down 24-10, but Florida State really, I think, took their foot off the gas. And that's kind of my issue here. I don't trust Mike Norvell. You know, a good friend of ours, Dave Koken, said this after the loss last year. He goes, Brian Kelly's going to be just fine. He's one of the best coaches in college football. I've seen sharp guys on both sides of this one. I don't know if I have the guts to either lay it with LSU or to take the points with Florida State. If you're going to make me pick, I'd say I'd lay it with LSU. But, the Seminoles are going to be improved, and there's a lot of hype around this team, right? We expect that from LSU pretty much every single year, but Florida State's getting a lot of love in the marketplace. A lot of people think they're going to make the college football playoff. A lot of people saying that Jordan Travis is going to win the Heisman. They're going to win the ACC. I don't know, Drew. This is a tough one for me.
It's a tough one for me as well. I mean, I something inside of me is telling me to take LSU in it, mainly because of what you were talking about with Brian Kelly and what Dave Koken said about him. X's and O's wise, I do think he's one of the best college football head coaches. I think they have the advantage there. I actually think they have the better quarterback as well. If you're picking one game, I'd rather
he is going to definitely be, I think midseason, he will be the front runner. That is Jaden Daniels, not Jalen Daniels, right? I've screwed it up about 4,000 times already this year, and it's only week one.
Yeah, really. But yes, Jalen Daniels. And hey, names are just names. We're trying to win some games here, but that's going to be a fun one in Orlando. And I think I'm going to be in attendance here, KIV. You have any interest
Ooh,
in going?
Drew.
Yeah.
Taking a little trip. I got to go up north and do some hurricane cleanup, unfortunately.
Mm.
Otherwise, I would love to have joined you in Orlando for that one.
Yeah, guys, hit me up on Twitter at Drew Martin Betts if you're going to be in attendance there in Orlando Sunday night. I like to go to the games that are singled out, Kelly. You know, it's always fun to go on Saturdays, but when you can find these like
Oh,
off days, it's
I tell
better.
people this all the time. Seeing games in person is so overrated. If you notice the NFL games that I usually try to attend, Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night,
Mhm.
because you're in a stadium, your phone has crappy service or crappy Wi-Fi. You're trying to get a late bet in. You're trying to bet it live. You're trying to do anything, and it's just infuriating, right? Or you're worse, and you're like me, and you've got another game over here looking down while you're sitting in pretty expensive seats. You should be enjoying the moment that you're in. It's hard for me to do that personally. So I do love that you're going to a standalone Sunday night game.
Absolutely. I can't wait to kick off the season here, guys. We got 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Next game up out west, 233, 234. Oregon State, San Jose State. We are seeing the Beavers mostly minus 16 in the hook as the road favorite, 55 being the total. Of course, San Jose State already has a game under their belt, but I know our friend Ralph Michaels put out something that doesn't always help. But what are we thinking here? Pac-12 and Mountain West matchup.
He did say that, Drew. You can watch all of Ralph's TNA on Bet On It, the Wager Talk YouTube channel. This one's tough, right? What did we see from San Jose State last week? Well, we saw an improved team, or did we just see USC, who just has still yet to play defense, right? So we know that DJ transferred from Clemson for Oregon State. I love the Beavers. They're one of my favorite underdog teams. I don't know if I can lay this big number with them here, though. I'll be really honest with you. Jonathan Smith, I think that he has done a really good job, especially because this team won 10 games last year, sprung a couple upsets for me over the last 2 seasons. But I'm going to stay away here. You're right. San Jose State might have looked a little too good in that moral victory against USC last weekend. Oregon State might have a fire lit under them since they are one of the 4 remaining teams that is going to be conference-less next year, or they're going to be in the Pac-4, whichever that is. They might have something to prove, right? I mean, there's already rumblings about the ACC, maybe the Big 12, if they're going to add more members. Some of these teams are going to have to really show out and prove that they want a home for next season.
Yeah, I mean, Kelly, what are your thoughts on all this? I was talking with your friends at the pool, Caleb, his friend as well, and the Pac-12, what's going to happen. To tell you the truth, I think the Big 12 did a great job of like prolonging the existence. I mean, with getting the teams and making a bigger conference, I'm actually intrigued with the Big 12, but the Pac-12, I don't know if this is going to last. How do you think this plays out?
Yeah, it's tough, right? So it all comes down to who your commissioner is at the time. I'm trying to think of his name that was our commissioner. Was it Bowlesby when A&M left? I cannot remember. But remember, Texas kind of likes to rock the boat. They did it in the Southwest Conference. That's why the Big 8 turned into the Big 12 with the 4 Texas team. Then A&M bolted to the SEC because they got kind of tired of it. Now, Texas, Oklahoma bolts, and everybody freaks out, says the Big 12 is going to fall apart. Well, the Big 12 didn't panic, but they also didn't wait too long. They started seeking out other teams. As you know, they got UCF, they got BYU, Cincinnati, and Houston. So they went out and actively replaced 2 teams with 4 teams. And then this year, when we saw the Pac-12 start to get shaken up and teams were starting to leave, we know USC, UCLA left first. So that kind of gave the Arizona schools, plus it was a natural fit for Utah with BYU. And unfortunately, Colorado came back. I didn't really want them back, just like I never wanted Mizzou or Nebraska back. But we're going to see. I think the Pac-12 is done. Pac-4, whatever you want to call them. I think they are done. I think that the ACC is on the ropes right now, right? Depending on how Florida State does this year, they're kind of driving the boat. I heard that they're getting a big influx of potentially foreign money to leave as well. People are saying the Big Ten's a fit. I'm thinking, would the SEC just add them? So there's a lot going on over the next couple of years in these conferences.
Foreign money. That sounds like a little golf thing. Is the the Saudi fund coming in here?
I did hear some Saudi rumors. They could just be rumors. You never know. Got a decent pulse from some FSU guys down here that like to share some information with me. We'll see what ends up coming to fruition. But the ACC is already talking about maybe adding those 4 from the 4, if you will.
Wow. Okay. Well, hey, you're here to hear on the Every Game on the Board podcast at Kelly in Vegas on Twitter. Kelly Stewart, check her out, wagertalk.com. John Murray and Kelly do a great podcast as well. And The Hustle coming up here at 7:00 Eastern on Thursdays. We'll be breaking down a bunch of games, big game breakdown, best bets as well. So stay tuned for that on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. And a reminder, guys, we are brought to you by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Grapefruit is Kelly's favorite. It's my favorite in like the daytime. I think it's like a good daytime drink.
That must be what it is, Drew. I'm not a big night drinker because at night I drink red wine, usually, or like margaritas. But I think that's what it is. It's like almost like breakfast in a can because it's citrusy. Because I like watermelon too, but I go between the two. And I figured it out what it is about the berries. Have you ever like drank something or smelled something like that just ruined you forever? Like a lot of people, it's like Jägermeister or like one of those.
Yeah, mine is gin.
Okay, so I figured it out when I was in Vegas. I was in an Uber and I was like, God, like not well, right? And the guy laughed. He goes, you ever have those memories? And I go, yeah, Ciroc Red Berry when I worked at Encore Beach Club at night. Somebody threw it up. And ever since then, I don't like any berries. Like I can't drink berry Celsius. I can drink a berry smoothie, like actual real fruit, but it's that fakey berry flavor smell. I don't care what any alcohol that's berry flavor. No, that's what it is. Right. Viva doesn't even smell like that. The huckleberry and elderberry don't even smell. They definitely don't taste like it. But I think there's something in my brain that is permanently ruined for any berry alcohol.
Well, we'll stick to grapefruit, and especially during the day, guys. You're mowing your lawn, doing whatever. Viva Tequila Seltzer.
Mowing your lawn. I love it. Let's be real. Viva drinkers don't mow their own lawn. Like, that's just not our demographic, Drew.
That's true. That's more of a beer thing. I probably should leave that one out. But either way, guys, it's a great drink. Check them out. Viva Tequila Seltzer, refreshable and drinkable hard seltzer. 88 calories, 0 carbs, important, 0 sugar, no hangover, 4.5% ABV. Perfect drink for your pregame or postgame celebrations. It was created with the active lifestyle in mind. Check them out. VivaTequilaSeltzer.com. Last game up, finishing the week 1 card here, guys. We would have talked every single game on the card. Speaking of the ACC here, Kelly, primetime Monday night, 8:00 Eastern, Clemson and Duke, -13. That's the Tigers, 55.5 being the total. What do you think in the ACC?
The Clemson Tigers have been kind of weird over the last 2 years, right? So Brent Venables left last year, went to Oklahoma. DJ, as we just talked about, transferred to Oregon State. We're going to find out what this team's really all about, right? I think Dabo Swinney is a great coach. Sometimes you got to ride through those rough waves. And I think that's what he's basically been doing this past 2 seasons. Missing out on the college football playoff really kind of, probably took a hit to his ego. But we'll see what Cabe Klubnik, I cannot even say that right, is going to do for this team. I'm kind of curious, right? So we all know that I love those home dogs, especially early on in the season. Duke returns a bunch of starters. I think a lot of people probably don't think this is a Duke team that can spring an upset. I'm not going to say they can win outright, but I would not be surprised to see Clemson get punched in the mouth early by Duke. Yes, Clemson has a great defense, but Duke can run the hell out of the ball. Last year, 184.2 rushing yards per game. This team put up some points. For, traditionally Duke is known as a basketball school, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them just run, punch the Tigers in the mouth early, play that smash mouth type football that we're not used to seeing from ACC teams. I've heard some really sharp guys call for a possible upset, but I just don't know if I see that happening. We'll see what Mike Elko's got, right? So we know that he was a defensive coordinator at Wake Forest, Notre Dame, A&M. Listen, let's see if he can't break it out here in a big way.
Yeah, it's in Duke, right? It is.
It's in Durham. Riley Leonard's a talented quarterback. We know that. And we're going to see. I mean, like I said, I don't know if we can smell an upset necessarily because I do think that Clemson is not back, but going to be in the mix. We'll put it that way. They're going to be in the mix. I think it's going to be a 2-horse race in the ACC, them and Florida State. As you know, I'm never high on Miami. They're like the Texas of Florida. I said yesterday on Bet on It. So we'll see. We'll see if maybe somebody else can't surprise out of the ACC. But as of right now, I expect Clemson. It's going to be like that Syracuse game last year, right? That Trig went to. where they got up early, but then Clemson ended up winning the game because overall they're the better football team. They had to crawl back, kind of claw and scratch their way back, but they got the W. So I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe Duke first half is a better play here.
Okay. Yeah. It kind of surprised him at home. I was going to bring up the fact that this is probably the biggest football game, a Duke home game in as long as I can remember. So it's probably going to be a pretty good atmosphere with a lot of Clemson fans there as well, not too far away. So that would be fun.
That's kind of what I was thinking is, unfortunately, there's a lot more Clemson fans in South Carolina that are going to make that, what is it, probably 4-hour drive, a little bit, maybe a little bit less to Durham. I'd hate that's kind of where I get a little hard, like trying to handicap Duke, right? Because again, basketball school, not football school. So we'll see. Hopefully we can get a 50-50 split and Duke can cover the 13.
For sure, Kelly. Guys, that does it for the Every Game on the Board podcast, all the games. Kelly, throw it back over to you. Do you have any final thoughts here before we shut it down? Guys, you can catch her on the hustle here at 7 o'clock Eastern on the Wager Talk YouTube channel. I know we only talked, 5 games here, the Sunday, Monday, and end of Saturday slate. But I like to ask the guests, do you have a most confident play of the games we talked about, one that you like the most, and any final
thoughts? The ones we talked about or on my list?
Wherever you want to go is fine.
The ones we talked about, it's Northwestern. I already played them.
Let's go with that.
I have 1, 2, 3. I played 5 games so far. 3 dogs I think can win outright, and a couple that probably might have been worth a sprinkle, but I tried to show some discipline. Week 1 has not been kind to me, Drew. Usually kind of start out slow. It's usually like weeks 2 through 6 that I just really cruise, do well. Then November comes and it all falls apart because the cream rises to the top, But early on, finding those underdogs that are scrappy, that are maybe flying under the radar. Usually weeks 2, even in week 7, I'd have to look at my old spreadsheets to see if I've ever hit a parlay then.
Yeah, I agree with you. Week 2 to like week 8's the sweet spot for me. Week 1, I have never been good with sides, like trusting everybody else and their opinions on these teams. I like to do more totals in week 1 in kind of match up.
That makes sense.
Yeah, OCs and quarterbacks. So that's what I'm doing here. And then week 2, a little bit more sides. But yeah, I'm picking up everything you're laying down. And yeah, guys, that does it for the pod. So anything else, Kelly, before we shut it down?
Nope. Parlay will be out here shortly. Hustle tonight at 7 o'clock. That's all I got. Make sure you guys head over to the Wager Talk YouTube channel. Check out Bet on It, as well as the Kelly and Murray Show.
Absolutely. Smash that like button. Feel free to comment below where you agree, where you disagree. All is welcome. That does it for week 1, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Thought it was a success. Let me know what you thought. And yeah, we'll be back for week 2. So come back and join us. Cash those tickets. Enjoy week 1.